Having a customer oriented TCG store will be the difference between making like a few $100 a month versus like five to $10,000 a month as a trading card reseller. And this is because when you are selling stuff online, your feedback and your image is very important, especially when you're selling on eBay, which is more of a feedback oriented and algorithm based marketplace. Whereas TCG Player, it's just, do you have the lowest listing? If so, you'll get the most sales most of the time. Like, obviously, in some scenarios, people will buy from someone that has more feedback, even if it's a higher price. But nine times out of 10, for TCG Player, it's strictly pricing. Whereas eBay, feedback is crucial. Your storefront as a whole is crucial. And there's a lot of little things that go into your rankings, like feedback, shipping time, return rate, and the list goes on. I'll talk about it more. But having this customer oriented approach is extremely important to making a lot of sales and growing your storefront. And I say this because I made a video the other day saying that putting business cards in your store or like in your packages is kind of a waste of money because it adds up if you're doing it on every single order. Like, let's say you're getting 100 or 200 orders a week. That's like 400 to 800 business cards a month. And that price can quickly add up depending on where you get it from and how much it costs. But then what I noticed was in the comments of that video, all of the sellers were saying, "Oh, it's actually not a waste of money. I put in all of my packages for so and so reason." And then all of the buyers in those comments were saying, "Yeah, I agree. It's just a waste of," or like, every time I get a package and it has a business card in it, I throw it out. I don't even read it, which is, I mean, that's how I am too. Like, if there's a business card on there, I'm not going to take the time to read it and keep that business card in a set away location or whatever so I could look back at it later. But that's not necessarily the point of this video. The point is that there is a huge disconnect with what the buyer wants versus what the seller thinks that they want. And that's one example that made me think of this. But the biggest example is when it comes to shipping and shipping times and just like overall customer service. Number one is shipping. So a lot of people, they do like 3 day shipping or even sometimes 4 day shipping. And I understand, like, some people, they're busy, they have things going on in their life and they can't ship every single day. But if you think about it from the perspective of the buyer, when you buy something online, you don't want to wait 3 to 4 days before they even ship the item. And then you have to wait 5 to 7 days for it to come to you, depending on how far they are from you. And you might think, like, oh, they're still getting the item. Maybe they don't care about it, or like they don't need it in that big of a rush. But in my opinion, I think it's a bad approach if you're waiting that long to ship items just to make it easier for you. And if you ship things quicker, it will have a very big return on like the time that goes into it, because realistically, you don't really need to add more time. You just need to manage your like shipping process better. Instead of waiting 4 days to package an order, just package it the day of or the next day and then ship it out that day. And at most, you could do 2 days, I think, is a good one. I do 1 day, but 2 days is fine if you're not trying to be like at a larger scale and grow to that level. But that is one thing, which is the shipping time, like getting it shipped out as soon as you can. Is just think like when you bought a card from someone online, you're checking the mail every single day, like waiting for that card to come in. So as a buyer, you should understand that, or as a seller, I mean, you should understand that and ship your things as soon as you can so that they get that joy as soon as possible. And it will also lead to a lot more feedback. Like, I always look through my feedback and notice that one of the most common things is shipped out fast, arrived super fast, like all those things. And that's just an easy way to get good feedback, which will then lead to repeat buyers and then more sales because you'll be pushed more by the eBay algorithm. And then the next thing is packaging things. So I've talked about this before, but mainly what I want to say is package your things properly. Don't under package, but also don't over package. Like, don't put bubble wrap and pound of tape covering everything so that when the person gets the card, they have to use like scissors and box cutters, like 5 minutes to get the card out of there. But also don't put it in like a top loader with no sleeve and no cover so that it just flies out when they open it. So like there's a sweet middle ground for shipping things and packaging it properly. It doesn't have to be excessive. You don't have to use like $1 worth of supplies just to ship a card, but also just be mindful that it does need to arrive safely. And when you do that, you'll notice that a lot of people will be happy with that because something that's very annoying and can be very like sad or frustrating as a buyer, depending on how they are, is if they buy an item from you and then it arrives damaged because of poor shipping. And this could be like, you shipped a card with no top loader and then it got smushed and it ended up being damaged. That would be very frustrating if you were the one receiving that, which will rightfully so lead to a negative feedback most likely. Another example would be putting it in the top loader, like I said, with no cover, and then it slips out of the top loader. Maybe one of the edges gets damaged, something like that. That would also be pretty frustrating. And if you properly package it and they receive it, it's easy to get the card out. Maybe they can keep that top loader for themselves or whatever. They would be happy with that, and that will lead to a positive feedback. So just think like if I were to buy a card, how would I want to receive it? Would I want to have it in a top loader, a card saver, a lot of bubble wrap and all that? Like think that way and then package your things accordingly. Don't think one way like, oh, I would want to receive a card this way, but then package it in a way completely different and worse than your standards. And then the third thing that I want to talk about in this video is customer experience and being transparent with the buyers. So one thing, like I have talked about it before that I don't think you should respond to all messages on eBay because a lot of people, when they're reaching out about an item, they're just wasting time and they just want to like ask as many questions as possible. And most times, at least for me, it does not result in a sale. So I've said, screw it, I'm not going to waste any more time responding to those messages. But there are other messages that you do have to respond to, and you should be very clear and quick with your responses, which are when people reach out to you about an order and they say, hey, it's been like a week or two and the item hasn't arrived. Check the tracking. If the tracking shows that it actually has not arrived, issue them a refund right away. Don't make it them like open a case and then have to wait out through that. Just refund them right away. Say, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, sent over the refund. I hope we could still do business together in future and whatever. Like be professional, be polite. And then also if it did say delivered, like a lot of times with the eBay envelope it shows delivered, but they would say it hasn't arrived. And for situations like that, let them know that there are common issues with the eBay envelope and sometimes it'll show delivered, but it will actually be like 1 to 2 days late. So it'll say delivered on like let's say the 22nd, but then it'll actually show up on the 24th. There is some reason why that happens, but I don't know enough to explain it properly, so I'm not gonna. So just let them know like it's a common issue with eBay envelope. Rest assured it will arrive in the next like 1 to 2 days. And if it doesn't, I'll happily send over a refund. And it's just a quick response, like doesn't take too long and they'll be more understanding and they'll be very happy that you responded to them. Because one thing that like I personally don't like is when I reach out to someone after I paid them for an item, and this goes for eBay, TCG Player, and even Facebook, and I reach out to them and they don't respond, like after like a week. And it's just very frustrating. It leaves a bad taste and like bad experience for you as the buyer. And if someone did that to me, I would never buy from them again. I don't like it's just that's how I am. So I use that same mentality as to me as a seller. Like if someone responds to me or reaches out to me, I will respond to them as soon as I can. And obviously, I'm not like perfect. Some days I go like 2 to 3 days without responding because I'm very busy, but I still get back with them. I answer as transparently as possible. And I always try to figure out a solution rather than just like try to brush them off or lie or say anything that would try to like make me win from the situation. Because like sometimes I reach out to sellers and say like, "Oh, this card actually arrived damaged or something like that." And then they'll respond to me and be like, oh, but it wasn't damaged. Like the card was shipped near mint, it's not damaged. Like they'll try to say that. They'll try to make it sound like I'm lying to them. Or like one instance, I bought a card and it arrived with the top loader was like smushed in, which means like obviously they didn't ship it that way. It just happened during transit. And I sent them a picture of it, but they go, since this wasn't like our fault, we can't refund you for it. Like that's not how you handle a situation like this. Like clearly I didn't damage the card and it's just a very bad thing to do. Like sure, you might win that case if you want and take advantage of that buyer for like $10 or you could just refund them, show that you're a professional business person and you actually run a legit store and then that person will probably come back to you and buy it from you again in the future. But if you try to take advantage of that buyer to get a quick $10 win or whatever the card amount is, they won't come back to you. They'll probably tell people not to buy from you because you're a shady seller. And it's just like a lose, like you're just losing on that because you just want to save $10 and you don't want to handle business properly. So those are the big three things. And obviously there's more that goes into it, like allowing returns for free, which is a big thing. I think you should offer free returns because there's an issue with the card and they don't like it, they'll find a way to return it. It's just going to look bad on you as the seller in eBay's eyes. So offer free returns, eat the shipping cost. It outweighs the cost in the long run by allowing free returns because you'll get more sales and more people will be comfortable buying from you. But the list goes on with this like concept. And just to sum it up, the biggest thing to do to grow a legit storefront is to put yourself in the buyer's shoes. So think how the buyer would want to receive a card or how they would want to go through a transaction with you and try to format your store and buying experience to fit that. Like ship things fast, ship things properly, respond quickly and honestly. Eat the loss sometimes if you have to with a return or a damaged item. Like you don't have to profit on every single deal and you don't have to win all the time because sometimes you might lose on one deal, but then you'll win from like 10 deals later on from that same person because you are operating a legit business. So that's just something to think about if you want to grow your store. Don't be like a sleazy seller trying to take advantage of everyone, trying to make a quick buck because it will come back to you in the long run and you will not be successful if you do that. So that's about it for this one. Hope you guys find it helpful. And I know a lot of you already do this or like have this mentality, but for those of you that maybe don't think this way, I think it's really good to, I guess, open your eyes to it and like start to be conscious of it because it's very important to growing your store and you will see a lot of success if you do it. But yeah, that's about it. I will see you all in the next one.